So what we want to do is fix that cutout. And so you can see how it's sticking out past this point, past the line on the card. We don't want that. We want it to contain it. So that's pretty challenging. I haven't done that before. Originally, I was thinking of using the mesh cut. Like I was looking at mesh cutting real time, which would probably work, but I'm guessing is somewhat sophisticated depending on the angle you're viewing. And I'm trying to find the portal, which is in... Yeah, didn't I type in BP portal? Oh, I think it's because I had clicked on developer, so I need to move up content. There we go. Okay, so this viewport here is the BP card window. So if we see BP weapon window railgun here, it's inheriting from this guy, the BP card window. So theoretically, if we add this portal to here, we should get what I hope is the correct behavior. Now in the documentation it says to use tags to capture like what portals should correlate with what game objects or actors. They're called actors in this. I also learned that you can edit these properties directly in the child actor template. Don't know why I didn't see that before, but it's in here under default. So I can turn this enable on. We'll leave portal tag at 1. That's following the docs. So I think this on its own should do something. I'm not going to save yet because now we're working. We have more than one person like working at a time. So I'll try to not save. Okay, so this worked enough in that we now see it's a part of every card. So it's obviously the wrong size. So what I'm going to do is pull this off to the side and start to mess with the size and see what we can get. So we can already see that it's doing something, like it's erasing the card over here. So you can see some of the 3D widget stuff, and we can see the model being rendered. But in some cases it's kind of funky, like the gear isn't there. We don't actually want it to apply to the card. We only want it to apply to the contents of the card. Okay, so I think because I went negative and it flipped out. So we'll start with this. First thing I want to do is stop the card from getting chopped up in all of this. So I think I'm a little lost as to why. I'm trying to see if the cards work. Yeah, it's definitely not. I think because they're overlapping and they're all the same ID. So for now, let me simplify the problem. Let's go here. So we have BP card hand and this guy, weapons window playground. We have this, so I'm gonna copy this for a second. Actually, let me make a new array. Railgun. Let's just do railgun because that's the one I was testing with, which I'll show what I did off camera in a moment for this. So here's that. We'll come back to using the full list, but for now we'll just test with one so we can calibrate. Oh, cancel. So we can calibrate. So let me find the railgun. I think it's this guy. Yeah. So what I did earlier. Oh, cool. Nice. The window actually shows up a little bit, so we can have a kind of reference point too on what'll get chopped off. So railgun, I came in here and in the docs it says to come to tag. Oh, mistake. It's on the actor. So we come way up here. Oh, this might be a problem. I need to find the tags. A second here. Yeah, so tags portal 1. I think the issue we're going to run into is that everything inside of here is tagged portal 1, including the portal itself. So that's probably not what we want. What we want is for the railgun to have portal 1 So let me see if there's a way to, I don't know if I can do that on this skeleton. Oh, hey, there it is. Nice. Okay. Oh, that's what we want. Portal 1. There's a nice little README there that explains all this. Okay, so now we have this. It looks like it doesn't do anything inside of the blueprint right now, which is fine. We'll see. Play mode is what matters most. Okay, so that's doing something crazy. Wow. It's like chopping off everything. You see that? Interesting. So it is doing something. It's definitely doing more than I want. Like, I've only put one thing in the tag. And it's affecting like the whole card. Like I thought it would only affect the railgun because it has Portal 1. Let me see. This is compiled. Compiled. This is an example material. This is the Swan card, which I think, I was flirting with testing this. Why aren't you? That's a little obnoxious to get it to do the F zoom. Okay, so what's left here? What am I missing? Why wouldn't this work? I'm gonna go read the docs again. Okay, reading the docs, it makes it seem like he's anticipating that we will manage toggling the material. So if the material, how do I say this? I'm using a master material here. And so I think because everything is using this, it's assuming that if it doesn't have a tag that it shouldn't be shown. That's my current theory. So I'm gonna mess around with that. Let me try adding a tag. Just gonna throw in Portal 2 just for the heck of it and see what happens. Interesting. Okay, F8. Yeah, so what's cool about this is it only updates based on the camera position. So that's cool. So I think that's working. My little test changing the Portal 2 tag here didn't seem to do anything, but I think it is working as intended. But we might need to create a material instance. Pretty cool. All right. So it's going to be something like that. It's a little hard without seeing the actual card. Is it chopping? This is what I needed to test. Like, yeah, it's like chopping it. It can't protrude through the gate, which is a problem. That's kind of like the primary thing we need is we need it to just partially exclude. So this technique might not work. It may be possible to allow it to protrude through the front. Like I could alter the algorithm to just don't cut the front of the gate. And then that might get it to what we need to be. So let me grab like right about there. To kind of overshoot a little bit, I'm going to adjust it so I can see the boundary of the card. It's going to be right about here. So that's close enough for now. And then I'm going to see if I can get rid of this, that portal frame. Like it has its own frame. Alright, so I'm just going to save that. Let's go to beefy portal, crack this guy open. There's a couple of adjustments I want to make. So the border I don't want. It was a nice reference, but we actually don't need this. So I could just try to do visibility. See if I can leave it alone. I don't really want to delete this because it's not my blueprint. So that's better. So now we have that like basic frame concept here, and I'm overshooting at the moment. There's a couple problems that we need to solve. One is we don't want it to chop this side. It is, oh right, it's because I'm moving around the player camera, so it's letting me see what, oh that's weird, hold on, F8, there we go. Yeah, so it is chopping like we want, so that's good. It's really hard to like do this with the mouse, like the snapping angles, or even if you turn snapping off, it's still, it's just too much, like, and you have to do it by hand when you're in play mode. And I wish I could just use the numbers, because I can see what number it needs to be, but I'm not able to actually do it by using a manual drag motion. And they gray out the transform. So right now we have 0.074, yeah, so we'll just adjust this. I have to like turn off play mode to do it. So we can try and drop this down to like this. Control P, Option P, Alt P, okay, there we go. Yeah, so it's like a little bit better there. Just a little bit of edge. So we can see, so that fixed that one problem, created a new problem. We want this to jet out. So let me do that. How can we eliminate that trim? Which I've got to guess, which I'm not going to try and review all of this at the moment. It's pretty neat. So this is designed, of course, to go inside the portal. Like it's a gateway you're supposed to be able to walk into, and so there's logic to invert what is hidden and what is visible. So all of this stuff here, I think this guy is determining the front face. So it's just a different use case. Now what I'm going to try to do is add, but then what direction do we add in to get this to work? So let me pin this here so we can kind of create one point for this to connect to. So we'll do that, and then we'll want to do this here. So then that should plug in fine. Now I'm trying to figure out what dimension. I was looking at this, and X is facing this way. And so by looking at our version here, when we pull it in, I think we can safely say it's negative X. How much negative X is a question, but negative X is probably what we want. So we'll try to do that. Let's do like negative 10 on the X. And hopefully that does something. Try to test now from the change we just made. Okay, so let me do F8 to get a better view. And it looks like it did work. So I said 10, negative 10, and that pulled it off. All right, so a new small problem is that the left side is chopping. And so I think what we want to do is let the boundary extend past that. So I'm going to adjust the boundary here. It's pretty tricky. I think it's going to extend both ways. I don't think I can actually. Yeah, let's do. There you go. So maybe what we want to do is we have to find some threshold to extend this with. So see where the gear is at? Maybe that's the cutoff. Maybe. Right? Like maybe it doesn't make sense to let it go past that gear mark. Okay, so that's one thing. It's right there. And we're going to fix the whole card as well, but I wanted to just solve one problem at a time. So like I have an edit in someone else's code, so if he updates this plugin and then we pull it down, it's going to potentially break. So I will message. I don't know if this will work for all the use cases that he's supporting. So I can message him and be like, hey, I added this bit of functionality to your thing. Thanks for the work. Thanks for the library. And maybe that is something he would consider supporting or adding. But if not, then it's something that we would have to maintain anytime we take updates from his stuff. So that can be bad, but we kind of need it for, this is the whole reason we're bringing it in. We're not actually using it for the full portal use case, which also means we can strip out some of the other logic as well. So we might just end up cannibalizing the library and we may not need updates. So it remains to be seen because there's a lot that could happen in the future. But anyway, so we'll add a variable and I'm going to make this really obnoxious so that I know it's ours. So I'm going to say still pinion, and probably I spelled protrusion right, still pinion x protrude, and we want it to be a float. I could make it a vector, just to, no, it's specifically one dimension. I'm just going to let it be a float. And then I'm going to yank it over here, get, and when we hit compile, then we can set a default value. So we know -10 is pretty high. We'll just drop it to -5. And then we can come adjust it here. Split struct pin. And this is a little bit better for just knowing that it's from us. And I'll also additionally add a comment in here saying that I edited this. So he's got a red over here, and I usually use red for, yeah, something like that super bad. Like, look what we did. So here we go. It's just gonna make red. That's not red. Blue 0, green 0, red 1. Okay. I'll just say Sean edit, or we could say still pinion. Custom edit. We did this all the time with Unity too. We would come in and edit their libraries, and I would have some kind of comment, like a code comment in there saying, and I would just have this in here to, it was just easy to search for and flag, like where do we do our custom edits? And, all right. Support 3D objects sticking out from bounding frame, in front of the bounding frame. Okay. So that's basically what we did. And it was pretty simple once we figured it out. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So yeah, let's kind of move on from that part. See what's next. So the next big fat glaring issue is that everything in the scene disappears. So I know that that's because we are using the same material for everything. It's just a master material. So even if we use material instances, we need a way to turn off and turn on this portal behavior. So my initial thought process is to add yet another flag to the master material, which apparently supports quite a few flags, but you'll see these switch params, and so there's a lot of features that we're not using that I've made. So messing with nanite or not nanite, was it nanite displacement, or I forgot what they called it. I was messing with the displacement thing. I had to enable some debug mode, and this is cool, but we aren't actually going to use this very often. There's like one use case for armor that we might use this for, but so a lot of this stuff isn't being really utilized heavily, but there's switch parameters everywhere to just enable and disable things. So what we're going to do is, I think that, so we'll do a switch param, static switch parameter. And so I think, from my understanding, this is similar in GLSL. You can have if conditions that are baked into the compilation of the script, and they're not runtime if conditions. So that's my understanding what a static switch is. It's effectively a static if define situation. So we're going to call you, what's the vernacular I use, enable, yeah. So we'll say enable, do I use spaces? Yeah, I do, okay. What is this thing called? Enable portal card, portal window. So we can call it enable portal window. I think default we want this to be 1. So we'll say, is this just going to be a float? Yeah, so right now it's 0, so we'll just say const 1. So if it's false, then yes, we want that. Otherwise, if it's true, then use whatever the heck was calculated here. And there's probably going to be some additional issues because this is only using one portal, and the documentation states that that can cause issues. So anyways, one problem at a time. So we'll try and get this working. And once we get this, then we'll try and get it working for multiple cards. All right, so here's this. Now it should break everything. Yeah, so now nothing should work. But what we want to do at this point is create a material instance for these weapons, which we already have a example, this colorable, oh gosh, hold on, let me find it. So just let's go up here to content, let's go to colorable, BP colorable. So BP colorable, actually, yeah, let's just open one. I don't really know. I think I already did this. Oh yeah, here it is. MI player comic. So the MI player comic is meant to be the thing that takes in all of the players' customization settings at runtime, and it'll automatically apply them to the ship or anything, weapons. So with this, we could, for cards, I wanted to have the customizations actually transfer to the cards, which is a kind of a neat concept. It might not work out because maybe players pick really bad colors and it just makes the game look like trash. So I kind of flirted back and forth with this idea. For the time being, we'll just make another material instance and we'll base it off of this and just kind of fork it. So for now, we'll just do that. So let's go to some materials. Material instance, player comment. Okay, let's click higher up then. Developer content, there we go. So can I just like copy you, and I really want to just go to this folder, find asset actions, show in folder view. Yeah, cool, that's what I want. All right, so I'm going to Control C, Control V. All right, so we should have a copy here, and then I'm going to drag this over to the developer material library. That's a duplicate structure. So the things that are in Steel Pinion material library are more stable, but the things inside of developer material library are very much in progress, and they could break or be weird, unstable. So now we're going to say mi card window. Yeah. So mi card window. We're not going to worry about color customization. Crack this guy open. And then just everything here should be fine. All this CPH color stuff, this is just saying that the profile is possibly configurable. So we do want this, I guess, for now. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to ignore that. We don't really care at the moment. Enable portal windows. So we'll just turn that on. Now, that will now enable the portal window stuff. So we can hit save. And then in our, where'd you go? We need the weapon for, here we go, railgun. So we got this guy, and now instead of it using player comic, we will use mi card window. Alright, so it looks the same. We're starting with the same point here. Map, hit play, and it should only affect this guy. So now we have this nice little cutoff here, and we got our portal card window. So that's great progress. Next, let's add another card. Weapons Playground. Alright, so we're just going to add one more. What's the second one here? It's kind of hard to see. Oh, it makes sense. It was the second one? Okay. So let's see what 2 cards do. Well, won't save it yet. Play. Alright, and now, oh, interesting. Look at that. It's freaked out. And it not showing up. A really obvious way to fix it in the current system is to just do different portal, so portal 1, portal 2, portal 3, etc. for the maximum number of cards. And that might be okay. I kind of don't want to do that. There was a mention of activating only one window at a time for the same tag. So I'll need to look at that and get an idea. I think it's going to take some experimenting. So at least for now we have something, and then I'll read the docs, take a look, and come back and try and get this last part fixed.